When it comes to chasing trophy bucks, second chances are often non-existent. The wind could shift and blow right towards his bed, he could stop right behind a tree where you don't have a shot, a doe you didn't see could bust you picking up your bow, the list goes on and on. The saying goes, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and in the case of Guner Womack, he was both good and lucky enough to kill the new Oklahoma state record typical in his first season ever bow hunting.
This is actually my first archery buck. What's really cool about him is we had him for 3 years on camera and we just kept watching him grow, which was super cool. My dad had actually seen him the year before when he was like, I think he was like 150, 160 inch deer that year. He had broke off like the top of his antlers all the way across. And so it made it easier for my dad to pass him, which of course, like I said, my dad won't hardly pull the trigger on anything, but we had him for 3 years. What's cool about him is he kind of primarily set on us. The neighbors didn't really know we had him. I think they seen a picture later, like right at the end, but he was primarily on us. We held him. And on the day of the hunt, I got in the stand at like 5 o'clock because I had work and I had to weed eat a 200-yard fence line. I kept texting Taylor. I was like, hey, should I go? And he's like, dude, if I have a deer like that, I'm going. It's like, okay, I'll try to sneak in there. I got in at like 5 o'clock. Like 10 minutes later, deer started coming out. I saw a bunch of my big deer that night, but I was dead set I was hunting this dude. I hadn't seen the 8-point. That was the only other deer. We had a big 8-point out there. That was the only other deer I was going to shoot. And had a couple of nice mature deer out there. And then these two young bucks were messing with the doe, and he comes running out with his head down. Like, nah, that's my doe. He came out. He was mad. He was fired up. He came out with his head down. I was like, holy cow, 40 yards, him standing there. I was like, holy cow, that's him. I had this really tiny shooting window, and I was like, oh, I got to take it. This deer's, I might never see this guy again. Who knows? So I go to draw back, and I'm about to draw back, and he runs into the timber. I'm like, oh, gosh, I'm done. I'm never going to see him again. That was my shot. And then he come busting back out at about 25 yards, and he stood broadside. I had to maneuver my way around a tree because he had come across my stand, the back of my stand, and I had to maneuver my way across the tree and get around it. And I got halfway drawn back on him, and he looked up at me, and I had to kind of sit there and let it down. And then he was like hawking me, and then he put his head back down, and I got my full draw on him, and I kind of looked up, and I looked down my sight. I was like, I can't miss. And I was like, no one's going to believe me if I miss, yada, yada. I got him. And I sit there, and I look one more time. I was like, slap, hit him perfect. He ran about 20 yards and died in our brush hogged road. I started calling all these people, and my dad first, and then Taylor. When I called Taylor, we had a big 8-point out there, like I said. He thought I said 8-point. I was like, hey, I killed that 8x8. I'm freaking out. And he goes, oh, awesome. I was like, okay. That wasn't the, reaction I thought I was going to get, but, whatever. And he pulls up. My friend Tanner was in front of him. He heard me, so he got there on his 4-wheeler. He pulls up, and he opens the door, and he's like, that's not the 8-point. What are you talking about? I was like, I said 8x8, and then immediately it was just like, it was crazy. It was like a kid on Christmas morning because they knew he was out there. Taylor and I had been, talking about it, we were trying to figure out how to get this deer down. Whenever he went down, it was awesome. Everyone was so pumped. I got hugged, we were hugging. It was awesome. It was awesome. But we get back here to my parents' place, and we go across the road because he has a skinning pole. And we go over there, and our neighbor comes around the corner, and he's like, you guys got a lawyer? It's like, oh, I haven't really thought that far yet, because at the time, I didn't just look at him and think, oh, record breaker. I knew he's a big deer. Trust me, I knew he might make a few, heads turn, but it just didn't cross my mind. It wasn't what I was, trying to do. It was just big mature deer. I wanted to kill him. So he ended up being the state archery record by 1/8 of an inch, which is crazy because he green scored well over the archery record. And then after the 60-day dry period, he shrunk like 4 or 5 inches and barely beat it by 1/8. But, we got it.